James had been traveling for hours. His road trip had started out exciting, but after driving late into the night, exhaustion began to set in. Desperate for rest, he pulled into a small town and found an old, run-down motel on the outskirts. The lobby was empty except for an elderly man behind the desk. The clerk simply nodded, handed him a key, and muttered, "Room 306. The hallway smelled musty, the carpets were worn, and the flickering lights cast eerie shadows along the walls. When he unlocked the door to room 306, a strange chill swept over him. The room was basic: a bed, a small table, a single chair, and an old TV. He noticed a strange feeling, like someone was watching him. Just as he was about to drift off, he heard it, a faint whisper. Then he heard the closet door creak. Brushing it off as exhaustion playing tricks on him, James locked the closet door and went back to bed. Around 3 a.m., James woke up freezing. He felt it, pressure on the mattress. Slowly, he turned his head toward the foot of the bed. That's when he saw it, a figure, barely visible in the dim light. The figure twisted its head toward him, revealing a pale, hollow-eyed face. James screamed. At sunrise, James wasted no time packing his bags. The old clerk looked up, his eyes widening. "No one stays in that room anymore," the old man said. "A woman died in there years ago. They found her sitting on the bed like she just stopped living." That night, as he lay in bed at home, his phone buzzed with an unknown notification. He picked it up and saw a single message. "Did you sleep well?" James dropped the phone, his breath catching in his throat. He stared at the screen, hoping he had imagined it, but the message remained. His room suddenly felt colder, the shadows in the corners seeming darker than before. A creeping sensation crawled up his spine, as if he was being watched. The wind outside howled, rattling his window, but inside the silence was deafening. Then he heard it, a faint knock on his bedroom door. James froze, his heart pounding in his ears. He slowly turned his head toward the door, dreading what he might see. The knob twisted slightly, as if someone was testing to see if it was unlocked. James bolted out of bed, backing against the wall, his breath coming in sharp gasps. The knocking came again, louder this time. His phone buzzed again, and against his better judgment, he looked at the screen. Another message. "Why did you leave?" James couldn't breathe. His vision blurred as pure terror took hold. The door creaked open, though he knew for a fact it had been locked. A shadow moved in the hallway, just beyond the doorway. It stepped forward, revealing the same hollow-eyed face he had seen in room 306. James wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The figure raised a hand and pointed directly at him. A whisper filled the room, soft yet unmistakable. "You never left." James felt his surroundings blur, a wave of dizziness washing over him. The room no longer looked like his bedroom. It looked like room 306. The bed beneath him creaked, and when he looked down, the sheets were the same yellowed fabric from the motel. James realized with growing horror that he had never truly left the motel. He tried to stand, but the figure was now beside him, its cold breath whispering against his ear. Everything went black. The next morning, the motel clerk saw the key to room 306 still sitting on the front desk. No one had checked out. Yet, room 306 remained occupied. Lily's grandmother handed her an old porcelain doll with a warm smile. The doll had wide, glassy eyes, golden curls, and a smile that seemed almost too real. Lily beamed, hugging the doll tightly, unaware of the darkness it carried. That night, Lily placed the doll on her bedside table before drifting off to sleep. Her parents woke up to faint footsteps in the hallway, but when they checked, no one was there. Small objects around the house began moving on their own, books falling, chairs shifting ever so slightly. One night, Lily whispered to her mother, "Annabelle doesn't like you." The doll appeared in different places, even when no one had touched it. Soft giggles echoed through the house at night, even when Lily was fast asleep. One morning, Lily's mother found a chilling message scrawled in crayon, "Let's play forever." Terrified, the parents decided to get rid of the doll. Lily sobbed, refusing to let go, insisting Annabelle didn't want to leave. The father drove miles away, stopping by a river to throw the doll into the water. The next morning, Annabelle was back, sitting upright on Lily's bed, her head slightly tilted. Desperate, the family called a priest to rid them of the cursed doll. During the ritual, Lily's body stiffened and a voice that wasn't hers spoke. "She's mine now." The doll vanished, but sometimes people still hear a giggle in the dead of night. Even after the doll disappeared, Lily continued to talk to someone unseen. Her parents began to notice Lily's behavior becoming more distant, more unnatural. At night, they could still hear faint giggles, even though the doll was gone. Desperate, the family contacted a paranormal investigator to uncover the truth. The investigator set up cameras around the house, hoping to capture evidence of the supernatural. At 3 a.m., one of the cameras picked up movement, a small shadow scurrying across the floor. In Lily's room, the camera recorded her sitting up in bed, staring blankly at the corner. The investigator reviewed the footage and froze. The doll was back, sitting in the corner of the room. But when they rushed to Lily's room, the doll was nowhere to be found. The investigator's equipment suddenly malfunctioned. All data on the recordings were erased. Lily's whispers turned into screams one final night, and then silence. When her parents rushed into the room, Lily was gone. Only the doll remained, sitting in her bed. The doll was locked away, hidden where no one would find it, but some say on certain nights it still whispers.